What you wanna know?
What's going on, people? Myke ctown here with another episode of What Do You Want to Know, where you ask your questions, if I like your questions, I answer your questions on camera. Well, it's been a while since I've done one of these videos. Did y'all miss me? Did you miss my face? Yeah, so this one might get a little bit long, so let's jump right into it. Coltland, aka Cole, he asks, what are your favorite album covers? When I first saw that question, I was like, yeah, this is going to be a really good one. But then when I sat down and really started to think about it, I knew I was kind of in trouble because I like certain album covers, but I never really thought about what are my favorites. So I just made a list of the ones that came to mind first. But disclaimer, I gotta say this for all the people that are very easily confused. This is not a list of my favorite albums. This is a list of the album covers that I love. This is also my list. This is not your list. Your list may differ from my list, and that is okay. So let's just respect and share each other's lists and everyone just get along. How about that? Alright, so yeah, let's get started. So number 20, the first one I'm going to start with is Comus, First Utterance. The twisted figure on the cover, the pain in its face, it just really represents the twisted and bizarre music on this album extremely well. Next, we're going to talk about Tiny Tim. God bless Tiny Tim. I just love the total hippie feel of this cover, and I really like simple covers, so this one works extremely well. The colors, the composition, everything. Number 18, Piano Magic, Low Birthweight. This is such a bizarre album cover. Y'all know how much I love cats. So the lifelike kittens having supper with tea, with the bizarre oil painting in the background. I just love this because it's a perfect balance of cute and creepy. Next, I'm going to talk about Hank Snow, Songs of Tragedy. This is a fairly new album to my collection. Some of you guys may remember when I showed this in my vinyl videos, but I think this album cover is just perfect. I tend to like really simple covers, like I said, and this one is as simple as it gets, and it goes perfectly with the theme of the album. Next, we're going to talk about Al Green. I'm still in love with you. Still not in love with you. Yeah, I don't know what it is about this cover, but I've always loved it. It's just so cool. It's smooth. It's slick. It just epitomizes style to me. Number 15, Mutilation, Grimly Reborn. This is the first Mutilation album that I got, and I bought it off the strength of that ridiculous album cover. Again, it goes perfectly with the album. Maynard looking broken and sickly in that wheelchair. You know, it's just a great black metal album cover. Number 14, we're going to talk about Throbbing Gristle, 20 Jazz Funk Greats. This is another cover that I think is just perfect. And the interesting thing is I like it for the opposite reasons of why I liked the Mutilation one that I just mentioned. I like this cover because it doesn't at all represent the music that's on the album. And aesthetically, I think it's just great. They all look awesome, especially Cozy Fanny Tootie looking all good. Number 13, we're going to talk about Celtic Frost to Megatherion. And it's funny that I'm putting this album on the list because I don't even like this album at all. But the sound of all of the people unsubscribing from my channel. But yeah, anyways, I'd be lying to say that this isn't a super rad cover. You know, Geiger was an artistic genius, and this is one of my favorite pieces by him. You know, Jesus as a slingshot. You know, it's dark, and it has this element of evil without being cheesy. You know, it's just a really cool idea executed extremely well. Next, we're going to talk about Stevie Wonder, Inner Visions. Stevie Wonder actually had a lot of really dope album covers. The Talking Book, Songs in the Key of Life, and the album that came right after this one, Fulfilling This' First Finale, which was done by the same artist. Those are all great covers, but this is probably my favorite. The Cubism, the muted earth tone colors, you know, I think it's just great. Swans, Love of Life. This cover is a piece by Derek Thomas. He did 2 covers for Swans, and this is probably my favorite of the 2. It's simple, but I really like the composition and the colors. Next, Iron Maiden, Killers. I have loved this album cover since I was a kid. Probably since I first saw the movie Gleam of the Cube, before I even knew what the album was. But this cover, it's just iconic, man. And when I think of Iron Maiden, I automatically think of this cover. Next, Coil, Love's Secret Domain. I typically don't like busy covers, but this one is really cool. The kind of graffiti on a wood wall look, to me, is really dope. And then when you break down what's on it, it gets even better. Especially once you see the dick shooting the jizz in the air. Like, Coil were some weird ass dudes, and this is perfectly represented with this album cover. Number 8, The Roots, Things Fall Apart. This is such an amazing cover. The image of 2 black teens being chased by police, I believe this was taken sometime in the 60s. It goes so perfectly with the content and the sound of this album. The look of terror in the girl's eyes, the face of the policemen behind them. It's just really powerful, even on its own, away from being the cover of an amazing album. Him, Razorblade Romance. I remember when I first saw this cover, I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna love this album. You know, it's just so posh and pretentious. Villa shirtless with his pants low enough to see his pelvic tattoo, the bedroom eyes that he's giving you, the designs surrounding him. I just think this album cover is great. 6, Anthony and the Johnsons, The Crying Light. This is one of the creepiest album covers I've ever seen. The picture of Kazuo Ono is genius, and it's gorgeous, and again, it's simple and to the point. It's beautiful while being extremely dark. It's the perfect example of beauty and darkness. Number 5, Casual Fear Itself. Once again, simplicity wins. I just love the shadowy cover with Casual off in the far corner, the red logo. You know, it doesn't really represent the album's music very well, but the composition of the cover is just really, really cool to me. Next, we're talking about Current 93, All the Pretty Little Horses. And it was difficult to pick between this one and one of the many covers that David Tibet painted himself, especially I Have a Special Plan for This World. But when you listen to this particular album, this cover speaks volumes. It really fits the theme and the feel of the album perfectly, and even on its own, it's just a beautiful painting. Next, we're talking about Incredible String Band, The Hangman's Beautiful Daughter. And it's funny that I'm talking about this album right after talking about the Current 93 cover, because Current 93 did their own rendition of this cover for Earth's Covers Earth. But this cover is really cool. It's just so wonderfully hippie-ish. You know, it's so innocent, but so weird and bizarre at the same time. I just think it's a beautiful, beautiful cover. Number 2, we're talking about Black Sabbath's self-titled album. I feel like no list would be complete without having this cover in it. Once again, perfectly simple. It's such a creepy-ass picture. That creepy-ass house in the background, that creepy-ass tree with that creepy-ass woman next to it. I seriously think this album cover is just perfect. And number 1, we're talking about Dark Throne, Transylvanian Hunger. And when I started to think about my favorite album covers, this one easily came to mind first. You know, I think this cover is just perfect. The starkness, the simplicity, the darkness here. You know, if there's one thing that came from Until the Night Takes Us that I think was spot on, was when that dude was saying how this cover was so artistic and how it resembled the Scream. And it may sound lame to put those two images in the same bucket, but put them side by side and it's quite amazing. I think that this album cover, better than just about any other black metal album cover, represents black metal perfectly. And that's it for this edition of What Do You Want to Know? Of course, make sure you leave your list of your favorite album covers in the comment section down there. And as usual, thank you for living, thank you for loving, thank you for being you. Please don't die. And I'm going to see you guys next time. All right? Peace, bitches.